Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscripted Pause. I'm your host, Diane. I'm sitting here, I have some tea, and um, I have tea in my cup, but not tea to spill. So I'm here with my tea, and it's been a few days since I last recorded, maybe even a week, but had some heavy family stuff happening that I won't go into, but um and things are looking up, thanks be to God, but there's been some heavy stuff happening. So yeah, so I had to focus on my family for a little bit and not record. So, but I am glad to be back because being back means things are looking up for my family. So I love that. So, want to make you aware that I'm making some changes to the unscripted pause. I thought now that I've done 25 episodes, actually 26, I think. I thought, let me, since I'm seemingly going to do this, like let's make some changes. Let's do something. So I am going to have a set schedule, as much as I can. I'm going to have a set schedule of when I'm going to record, or at least when I'm going to drop videos. So it'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Um, I may not necessarily record on those days, but those are the days that I will upload new video, new content. Okay. So that's the first thing. I'm going to have a schedule because this whole like randomly recording whenever, I was like, okay, that doesn't work. So I have a schedule Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay. That's when new material will be uploaded or some content will be uploaded. Okay. There's that. And then the other thing that I'm changing is I'm going to um, have themes on each of those days, but they're pretty general, where it still allows me flexibility to really kind of discuss a multitude of things and or to have people on. So Mondays will be meaningful Mondays. Wednesdays will be what we don't say Wednesdays. And that's today. I'm going to talk about what we don't say. And then Fridays are what? I wrote this all down. Fridays are feel good Fridays. Feel good Fridays, which really does open the door for a bunch of things. All of these do, right? Meaningful Mondays, what we don't say Wednesdays, feel good Fridays. Leaves me lots of flexibility, but also allows me to try to hone in on what I want to talk about. So that I'm not just because if you just I just sit down from this camera, I will just start randomly talking about all kinds of things. So trying to start getting some structure. Yes, love that. Love that I'm trying to get some structure. And since it is Wednesday that I'm uploading this, and so that means what we don't talk about Wednesdays. And I've a little bit have alluded to this in the past about this really is about difficult conversations. And the piece that we don't say is like, why do we avoid difficult conversations? And so I know you're like, Diane, because they're difficult. That's why we avoid them. Yes, on the surface, yes, that is why we avoid difficult conversations. But there's way more to that, right? There's way more to it. And and I think we avoid some difficult conversations because one, we don't want to hurt someone else. Like we don't want to hurt the other person. Even if we've been hurt, even if the difficult conversation is about what how they've made us feel or how we have felt with something they've said or done. We don't want, for the most part, we don't want to hurt another person. We also don't know how the other person is going to take the conversation that we are going to be bringing up, right? So we don't know, are they going to be open to the conversation or are they going to be like, girl, I know you ain't trying, you don't know. You don't know what you're going to get. And so a lot of times we just avoid what seems difficult because we just don't want to deal with what we think might come with having the difficult conversation, right? And so we just avoid. So let me tell you, I've been needing to have a difficult conversation with someone in my life, and I have avoided it like the plague. And even though I'm recording this and talking about, let's talk about why what we don't say Wednesdays. You know what? I still ain't ready to have this difficult conversation because I really don't know how receptive the other person is going to be. Yeah, I don't know how receptive they're going to be. And I also just kind of want to still be in my feelings about it. Okay, that's what we don't say. I want to be in my feelings about this. Wow. Therein lies the truth. Therein lies what we don't want to say. And look, I've prayed about this. Let me take a little sip of tea. I have prayed about this and I've, asked God, like, if I need to have this conversation, then you will change my heart about this. You will change my heart. Not asking him to change anybody else, it's not changing my heart. Because I'm the one that needs to have the conversation. I'm not even sure the other person knows that I'm feeling some kind of way, which is the other thing. It's the other thing we don't say. We kind of don't want to have the conversation because we feel like the other person should know. Like, how come you don't know that there's an issue? Why don't you know that there's a problem? Why can't you pick up the vibe of when we're interacting? Can't you pick up the vibe that I am clearly giving you? And wow, there was a lot that I didn't want to say. But these are all the things, like, we avoid conversations that we think are going to be difficult. And if you're anything like me, like, part of it is I really do want to be in my feelings about this. And there is the part of me that really does feel like, why doesn't the other person realize that I'm in my feelings? Then it's like, that person don't know me at all. But it's somebody that I thought should know me and should know that I'm in my feelings. So then it comes down to, maybe they don't even care. Mm. Maybe they don't care that I'm in my feelings. So, child, what we don't, Lord, what we don't say Wednesdays, right? And so, but the lovely thing about, if you push yourself to have a difficult conversation, or a conversation that you imagine, because sometimes we just imagine things are going to be difficult, and we get into it, and they're not difficult. But the lovely thing that you can do for yourself, that I can do for myself, is to actually say something. It's to actually say something. Because do you know how kind it is to let someone that you care about, and that's what I'm talking about, people that are in our lives, people that we care about, people that we love, you know how kind it is to let somebody that you care about, somebody that you love, to let them know that you're feeling some kind of way about something they may have said or did, that maybe they really genuinely don't even realize. And we're not just talking about some colleague that you don't care. Like, although I've had a difficult conversation with a colleague before, right? And sometimes you have conversations and they're difficult. I found that easier than with someone that I love. But the kindness that you offer by saying something, right? By going in with a mindset of wanting to heal, wanting to be clear, and being clear that you care about the other person, right? So, here's what I'm going to do, and here's what I'm going to challenge you to do. I'm going to challenge myself to have the difficult conversation that I don't want to have. And I think what I'm going to offer to you is the same thing I'm going to offer myself, if that is that don't do it when you are like, there's a time that I can do it. I can't do it when I'm really in my feelings about it. Be calm, be loving, show that you care. But having a difficult conversation with someone really does require courage. It requires love. It requires compassion. It requires respect. And it requires so much kindness, right? And so I think when you go into it with the mindset, and I'm saying this to myself, going into it with the mindset of all of those things, of wanting to heal. And you know what? And thank you, because I just looked up and on my wall I have the fruits of the spirit. And it's like these are the things that go into a difficult conversation with: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And there you have it. There's no better way to end than on the fruits of the spirit for going into a difficult conversation. So until next time, which will be our full of fun. I can't, Laura, I'm going to have to work on what these names are and then get them clearly in my head because they are so catchy. But now I'm struggling with the one for Friday. I have it written down. Hang on. What are Fridays? Feel good. Why can't I get that in my head? Feel good Friday. So until the next time, be well, and I will see you in a couple days for a Feel Good Friday. Right? See ya.